Okay, let's play a little what-if game for a second. Imagine it's January 7th, 2026. On that day, the US government drops what could be the biggest overhaul of national nutrition advice we've seen in decades. We're talking about a move that could completely change what millions of Americans believe is healthy to eat. So, what's the big idea here? Well, it boils down to this one really powerful image. That food pyramid we all had drilled into our heads in school, it's been completely flipped on its head. And believe me, that one change throws decades of conventional wisdom about diet right out the window. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly are these guidelines, and why should I care? Well, every 5 years, the government issues its official dietary guidelines for Americans. And this is not just some friendly suggestion. Oh no, this is the actual blueprint for huge federal programs. Think school lunches, SNAP benefits, the whole 9 yards. So when the Health and Human Services Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., unveils them, they carry a ton of weight. And this slide just lays it out so perfectly. On the left, you've got the old pyramid, right? Grains and carbs making up that giant foundation. But on the right, that's the new world. The pyramid is inverted. Now, high-quality protein, full-fat dairy, and vegetables are the base, while those refined carbs that used to be king are pushed way, way up to the top. It's a total flip-flop. All right, so if that's the big picture, what are the new rules of the road? What does this new nutritional blueprint actually tell us to do when we're standing in the kitchen? Let's dive into the specifics. The main takeaway here is pretty clear. Eat real food. Simple, right? The guidelines are all about prioritizing protein, bringing back full-fat dairy, and loading up on fruits and veggies. But honestly, the big story is what they're telling us to avoid. All added sugars. Not some, all. Plus, a major crackdown on ultra-processed foods and refined carbs. This isn't about counting calories anymore. It's about the quality of the food you eat. Now, this number here, this is a really big deal. The new target for protein is set between 1.2 and 1.6 grams per kilogram of your body weight every single day. For a lot of us, that's a significant jump up, and it really signals this major shift toward making protein the anchor of our diets. Okay, this is where things get really interesting. Check out this contrast. On one hand, the new guidelines have a zero-tolerance policy for added sugar. They're basically saying that no amount is good for you. Period. But at the same time, they've actually eased up on the super strict limits for alcohol, moving to a more general recommendation to just drink less. It tells you a lot about where their new priorities lie. Okay, so we've covered the what. Now let's get into the why. What's the thinking behind a change this massive? What's the philosophy that drove them to turn everything we thought we knew completely on its head? This is the real heart of the matter. It's a complete 180-degree turn. For decades, the official advice was all about fighting a war on fat, limit your saturated fats, cut back on red meats, while pushing greens and cereals as the foundation of a healthy diet. The new thinking, it says healthy fats and proteins are absolutely essential, and the real villains driving chronic disease are those highly refined carbs and, yes, guessed it, added sugars. And don't for a second think this is just some friendly advice on a pamphlet. Nope. These guidelines have serious clout. They directly shape the menus for millions of people every single day through things like school lunches, military food service, and other massive federal programs. The hope from officials is that a nationwide focus on nutrient-dense food could literally change the country's health for the better. But as you can probably guess, not everyone is popping the champagne over this. A change this big, it's bound to stir up some controversy. The reaction from the nutrition and medical communities has been, let's just say, all over the map. Let's get into the debate. So on one side of the aisle, you've got a lot of experts giving this a standing ovation. They see the focus on whole, unprocessed foods and the tough-as-nails stance against added sugar as a giant and long overdue step in the right direction for public health. But then you have the pushback, and it is strong. Critics, including some major cardiovascular groups, are waving red flags. They're worried that encouraging more red meat and full-fat dairy and basically giving saturated fat a pass could backfire and lead to a higher risk of heart disease down the road. This is really the core of the whole controversy. All right, so we've talked policy, we've talked science, we've talked controversy. What does any of this actually mean for you, for your kitchen, for your next trip to the grocery store? Let's bring this all down to earth. Look, if you forget everything else, just remember this one thing. The core message is beautifully simple. Eat more real food. That's it. Balance your plate with good protein and lots of vegetables. And, maybe the most important part, start ditching all that packaged, ultra-processed, sugary stuff that has taken over our diets. So here it is, your new game plan, broken down into 4 simple steps. Number 1, prioritize protein. Make it the star of every single meal. 2, fill up the rest of your plate with colorful vegetables and fruits. 3, don't be afraid to cook with healthy fats like olive oil or even butter. And 4, become a label detective. Hunt down those sneaky added sugars in drinks and snacks and get them out of your life. It's a clear roadmap you can start following today. So, at the end of the day, these 2026 dietary guidelines represent one of the boldest moves in nutrition policy we've seen in our lifetimes. But it leaves us with one massive question. Is this a brilliant new blueprint for a healthier nation? Or is it a giant risky experiment with all of our health? Only time is going to